Call the meeting to order. First one on our agenda, be any public comment? Do you have any public comment? No public comment? We'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is approval of March 19th, 2024 meeting agenda. Do I have a motion to approve that agenda? Do I have a second? Second. Any discussion? It's approved. Next item, approval of the February 2024 meeting minutes. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes? Do I have a second? Second. Any discussion? Obviously,
Please do we? It's once it's.
Just to say all in favor.
All in favor, yeah,
Aye.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All in both, actually, let's go back to the next one, the previous one too, forgot that.
So aye on the meeting agenda.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And on the meeting minutes.
Yep.
Aye.
Okay, we'll move on to board member reports. Are there any board member reports?
Well, we can maybe go around and do introductions for
Oh,
Kyle.
of course.
So this is our new board member, Kyle Guy. Excited to have him. And so we have one other vacancy still posted for the Hominy area. I did email,
Did she respond?
she has not, okay. Erica, is that her name?
Yes.
Or at least that's what it looks
Yes.
like from her email, okay, cool. Yes, but yeah, do you wanna introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure.
We can go around the room.
I'm Kyle Guy, my wife and I own Rusted Earth Farm over on Meadowstown Road, kind of Lester, Sandy Mush area. I own Mountain Meadow Landscaping, kind of a full-time job. And kind of a diverse, winding career that's given me some relevant experience. And my first job out of college was working for the Leinster Farmland Trust, doing baseline reports and monitoring conservation easements. I worked for the Land of Sky Regional Council as a planner for a little while. So somehow I ended up as a landscape company. Here we are.
And what was your specific interest?
This, I just see a lot of pressure on the Leicester area in particular as far as development goes. So I just want to see what I can do to kind of help mitigate some of that pressure.
Do you just want to go around?
Oh, yeah, we can do that.
Is that what?
Do you wanna, we can,
Sure, hi, I'm Richard Gustafson, I'm a soil conservationist here at Buncombe County Soil Water. Just sitting on this meeting for informational purposes and see what you guys do.
Well, I'm Terry Wells, and I've been serving on this Ag Advisory Board for 4 years, and I remember it's quite a while. And I love the wonderful work that we do here on this board, with really great work with conserving our working farms all across this county. So thanks for being interested in joining us.
Thanks for having me.
And I live in Sandy Mush.
Chase Hubbard, live in Swananoa. I think this is my second term this go around, and was also on the board maybe 10 years ago or 8 years ago, or something like that. Welcome.
Thanks.
Yeah, welcome. I'm Wayne Welch. I'm out in Weaverville area on Claxton Farm. This is my second year and there's a lot to learn and I'm having a good time. So glad to have you.
So I'm Mark Diaz, I also live in Sandy Mush. We have a cattle farm, Bill the Galloways. And probably no surprise since I forgot to let everybody vote, but I'm still sort of new to the board, so I'm still learning, just as of last fall. And I guess that's about it, but I will turn it back over to Chase now.
you're like, I'm done sharing. He also has an easement on his farm.
Yes, that's
And
right.
Terry has an easement on her
Yeah.
farm.
So that, yes, yeah, we put an easement. so-
And Wayne has an easement on his family farm.
Yes.
Do what?
We have a conservation easement on here.
Yeah, we do.
You're doing great.
I didn't even think about that. We are, yeah. 547 acres in conservance. So.
Good chunk of land.
I'm Ann Greer, I'm in Leicester, my husband and I are getting our own farm,
Okay.
so we do vegetables. Most of the land we farm is leased, some of it's conserved. I've been on the board 2-ish years, I guess.
Yeah, and then we're just measly old staff members over here.
The beating heart.
The brains of the operation. They gave me an overview of all the work they do. I think it's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, that's one thing from my perspective. I've seen kind of an evolution of this department, and yeah, guys are killing it, so.
Thank you.
That's true. Were you on the board before there was even a staff member?
Yeah, and then
Yes.
Maria was hired,
And then
so,
Maria was
yeah.
then, Carol, and we added that.
Yeah, so I mean, this is almost third.
Coming up on 3 years, yeah.
3 years. This is coming up my 9th year, so, yeah, I'm
Gosh.
happy to do it. So, yeah, well, good, I'm glad. Just wanted to give some introductions, and I will share like contact information with other board members, so in case you ever wanna reach out to folks, you're welcome to.
That was the board reports we just did, so you know where we are on the agenda.
excellent, thank you. Board member reports, that's great. Okay, applications for VAD and EVAD.
So we have 4 that renewal applications. So I think you remember last month, we had a much longer list. And so we've had some renewal applications trickle in, not as many as last month, of course, but we still have a few, and our hope is to send out another round of letters for properties that we haven't heard back from yet, to get those properties back into that. So for now, we just have 4, and I didn't add any of the acreage to the totals because they're renewals and they're not new applications.
So, motion to approve the renewal for these bad farms.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, motion carries.
And just a quick question, because whenever I look at these, I always think about potential conservation, and I know Jenna Peterson got conservation on that one. The 129 acres in Alexander, have we ever had any conversation with that family? That's a nice,
Is that Brendan Hensley?
oh, is it?
But I'm not sure.
Can you just
We
check
can
on
check in
that?
on that, yeah.
We have had some people call about their applications, and some of them seem interested, and so we always try and send out like our landowner interest packet to them. So I mailed a couple of our landowner interest packets to those landowners, and then hope that they get back to us.
Okay.
Yeah, but Justin Hodges is on our waiting list. Our easement waiting list, I think, and then, but for some reason I thought that Brandon Hensley's first name was Charles, so I'll have to check
Okay.
on that one, but yes, good point. Did we vote?
We did.
Great.
Did, yeah. Okay, farmland preservation report.
Alrighty, so, I can't remember if we mentioned last time, but we are currently monitoring our easements. Most of the easements are being monitored with Equinox right now, and that's been going really well. We have, I think we're doing about we're still doing about 5 of our easements, because of budgeting reasons, so, but we've also been working on putting together some new landowner packets. Last couple months, we've mentioned that we're updating materials from all of, learning experiences over the last couple of years, and so we've made several different, like, initial landowner packets, and then once the landowner is ready to start, and, it's different levels of information that we'll be providing. So as we start up our new conversations with new landowners interested, we'll be using those. And so yesterday we had our 2 site visits with the NCDA grant. We went to Russ Robertson and Steve Slocum's property and had some positive grant visits. So now we have some, at these visits, they always give you, little things to edit and some things to update so that you can increase your ranking points if you're able. So we have some homework to do and to resubmit some materials to update our applications.
Are those our only 2 NCDA this time?
Yes, because we had Morgan's and Farrager back out. So in addition to those, we have that agricultural growth zone application that we submitted to NCDA as well. And so in a couple weeks, we have an interview for that grant application. So with that application, we would be able to find more. That being said, they did say this was the biggest year that they received applications. Last year they got 50, this year they got 100. So it's a highly competitive year. It seemed to me that they felt positive about the Russ Robertson application, but not positive about the Slocum application because of the soils. You know, it's at 120 so acres, but it only has maybe 40% prime soils, where the Robertson one has 98% prime soils. So
So they're focusing on that more. Used to, that was the federal program that was really focused, it seemed, on the
it's
farm soil.
still part of their ranking, so,
Okay.
and they rank it pretty highly.
Okay.
And with it being a competitive year, it seems like the forested tracts, the large forested tracts are not gonna rank as well. So that being said, we'll see how it goes funding wise. And we always have, in the back of our minds, you know, if it gets denied for this pool of funding, we could potentially put it forward for the bond. Because it is a beautiful tract, it's adjacent to Long Branch environmental easement and in, you know, in a protected area, so. So anyways, that's just a bit of an update on those visits. Quick reminder, Friends of Ag Breakfast next Tuesday at the Leicester Community Center. Please join if you want to.
And please help spread the word.
Yeah.
Don't assume that people know, because what I find is, when I tell people about it, they don't have any idea, so try to reach out to your neighbors and other folks and invite them.
Yes, exactly.
Is there like a social media post we can share?
That's a good question.
That would be very helpful. I've had other people ask me that too.
Yeah, okay, I will see. I know I don't think we have one right now, unless the counties put something out. We have a link, a county link, it's on the county website, but.
We do put out the flyer, but we don't have like a post, but that might be more helpful.
We've put together a packet, a PUV packet that we hope to be able to distribute to all new landowners that apply for PUV, so like they get approved to get in the program, and then the tax office sends them a packet of information. So that information, you know, would be info on VAD, EVAD, easements, NRCS, you know, cost share programs, ag cost share programs, FSA, you know, extension support, like all of that kind of information. So as a test run, we're gonna print a bunch of these packets and have them at the Ag Breakfast, so folks can take home. So yeah, we're gonna do that. Then, yeah, same conservation dinner, reminder. Over the next few months, we are hoping to try and find a few sponsors to raise around $1,000, so that that's kind of like our funding gap. We have a good amount of funding from the county, but yeah, we had to raise $1,000 last year. We're gonna have to raise $1,000
Did you
this
reach
year.
out to Buncombe County Farm Bureau?
Yes, I have, but so I reached out to them about the Ag Breakfast with the hopes of being able to offset the Ag Breakfast cost, to be able to take some of that cost and move it to the conservation dinner. So yes, we have $800 that they funded from Farm Bureau for Ag Breakfast.
This $1,000 is to put on the dinner.
Yes, correct. And we raised a chunk of that from some of our LCAB board last year, you know, asking other sponsors, so we're just mentioning that to both boards this year.
So we need information, like, so when we talk to somebody, who do they make the check to?
Yes.
And we need all, if you can send us all that information in the email, because
Yep.
what I say is, when you have a conversation, you've gotta tell them right then.
Absolutely, I can get you something.
You know, who to make it to, get the check.
Do you know who's gonna do the cooking for it?
Yes,
There might be farmers who would donate produce.
okay, yeah, that's great.
I'm sure.
So we're having it at Claxton Farm, so M7, the event folks at Claxton Farm are doing the catering.
Okay.
But yeah, that's a great idea.
Where is that dinner held?
At Claxton
Oh,
Farm,
you just-
yep. So put it on your calendar, you're welcome to come. So we are putting together invites and all that, and we'll blast that out, maybe in a month or so. So we've had some really good, site visits with some new potential projects recently. I just wanted to mention some of those. Last week we met with, Mike and Katie from Lady Luck Farm, and they're interested in moving forward with an easement. So we're hoping to bring them forward for, board approval process coming up. After we had a community meeting out in Reeves Creek a month or so ago, we got an application from one of the landowners that came to that community meeting, Tom Lindheimer. And he is interested in doing a donation easement out there. His property is adjacent to the Blackberry Inn property that was recently protected. So that's great. Curtis Hawkins reached out and is interested in doing an easement on about 160 acres of his property.
Really?
Yeah, so we're, he's not agreed to anything yet.
Sure.
But we are doing a pre-appraisal to give him an idea of the potential funding we could raise for that property.
That's great.
They've already done a smaller easement with Southern Appalachian. So I've been in communication with them to make sure that, we're not stepping on any toes, we're good. We've also been talking to Richard Kendrick, in Alexander. 150 acres or so out there. He's interested in applying for funding as well. And then I've also been talking to Jeffrey Bart, out in Alexander as well. He is adjacent to the Sandy Mush Game Lands. About 70 acres, 50-ish acres, maybe a little bit more out there. Also interested in funding. So we're lining up some of our projects, for, approvals and doing a few pre-appraisals so that landowners can kind of commit early on. So that's exciting. We have also scheduled the Larson easement closing for April 18th, so we will have that one closed soon. We are doing all the final steps for the Jasperwood easements. I will say we have hired, we've been able to hire 2 new easement attorneys to help replace Lynn as she retires.
Did you tell her it took 2 to replace her?
Absolutely. Yeah, so that's been good. So we've been working with those attorneys, getting them started on some of the projects that have been on pause since we've been waiting to hire them. So that's exciting. And good update on Splendor Valley. I mentioned last time we got our extension approved, and now they have got a refinance approved by a new bank. And so now we're in the subordination process, putting together that document and, going through that with them.
So we kind of passed that speed bump.
The hope is that we have passed the speed bump.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With the front wheels anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm hesitant to go, to say anything. But it, positive movement forward. These are the 2 that I mentioned when we're doing subordination agreements with Clark as well, is still in the process. Worthing, Krekel and Soden, we're starting up deed work with one of the new attorneys on those 2 projects. And starting the survey on Parham Fortner in a week. And currently in the process of survey and environmental assessment on Rogers Farm, David Rogers and Scott Fisher. Actually, we got a positive environmental assessment with no findings from Scott Fisher, so we will take that. So yeah, lots of little pieces in the works. In the back of our minds, we're making plans for the upcoming project approval process, and trying to think of where to send what projects to what pot of funds. So yeah, all positive and exciting. And yeah, anybody have any questions?
Yeah, that sounds good. I just encourage all the board members, for us all, to make sure that we're trying to think about anybody that we can talk to, and kind of keep people aware and start that process, because as we all see, it takes quite some time. So like from those initial conversations that any of us have till we get to these points, I mean, that's sometimes 3 years. But the more that we can do right now to get some folks in that process is good, especially thinking about our target areas, right?
Yes.
And always kind of keeping in mind open for any opportunity there is to talk to somebody. Because I think whenever we talk to them at a starting point, that can really help, because then they can ask us questions and get more comfortable with that before then sending them on to Ariel and me.
So I have a question about, as we look at some of these new projects, as of what we've been doing so far with, we're putting most of the projects towards the grants. And then if they don't get funded from the grants, we explore bond funds. Part of the, that flow chart that we put together says, you know, if you can either have reached the application cap for grant, or that, you know, the application window has closed, or we've reached staff, you know, capacity. There's several, you know, options. And so my question is, okay, it's March of this year. We've passed our, you know, our fall application window. To be able to put forward, you know, a project for grant funds, we would wait, you know, until this coming fall. Are we in a time where if we have a project that we wanted to put forward for easement purchase from the bond, could we do that?
I think if it meets
Or-
the criteria, so like, for example, this was such a perfect project, the one that we did for the
The Parham Fortner.
Parham Fortner, right? That was like a really good, so like if there was a project like that, because it's not gonna go for grant funding, really. It's just not, it's like a great piece of the puzzle, but it wasn't gonna be as strong on the grant.
Right,
So if there's a project like that, yeah, I mean, I would say
we could.
we would go ahead, because
Okay.
those bond funds, we can be going to that
Yeah,
at any
at any time,
any time of the year, so I would say, no need to wait, if it's something like that, right,
Right.
that's not one that you would go after.
that we know is gonna rank really well, especially now that we're
Yeah.
hearing how competitive the state one, you know,
Yeah.
grant is. You know, I'm just trying to, think strategically.
Yeah, because
If
the
we
thing
get
is,
another big project that is large forested, but isn't, now we know is not gonna rank well with the state, is that something we, you know, move forward?
I'd say that there's probably some, so yeah, there's potential, but like that project was such a good project, right, I mean, it was a key piece there, connected to other, right, that wasn't gonna be strong on the grant just because of the size of it, right, but we know still that is still a good sized project because it's not out just by itself.
Right.
And it's a perfect size for somebody eventually to have a working farm with that. And so I think that was an excellent project, and I just have a feeling there's some more out there like that would be really good. And I'd even suggest, you know, you could look there even along South Turkey Creek, right, where that one is. Are there any other kind of smaller parcels in that area that would also help with that might be good for the bond funding, that maybe wouldn't be as competitive for the grant funding just because of the size?
Yeah.
There was somebody you could talk to over there, I think at one time, had talked to a few other landowners in that area.
Yeah, I'm looking at his name.
Alan
He went
Shar?
to school with, yeah.
He was my square dance.
Oh, square dance partner, yeah.
Yes, he did, we were like in school together, from kindergarten on.
Yeah, I haven't heard from him in a while, but I can check back in. Yeah, that was one, and then I think there's another property on the other side of the Rogers that's a potential. Neither have reached out, or Alan reached out to us, but the other one hasn't, so.
Yeah, I'd say follow up with those folks.
Yeah. I guess I'm thinking, I'm just thinking of the projects that have recently reached out, but that's a good. Okay.
Was there one that you had in mind that had specific, that you were kind of thinking would be good? That you-
I think we were also kind of thinking like with Slogan, we're able to apply for a grant application because there's an open slot. And we want to be able to show that we're leveraging funding, but based on what we've heard from grant representative, like it's a really good parcel, it's a large acreage, it connects to a lot of other protected land. But if it won't, we can put it forward for the grant, but it might not rank well. And if they're ready to move forward, can we just go straight to the bond, or is that something that we want to still put it for the grant? So that's kind of like, it's like, we can put it forward for the grant, but it might not be as strong a candidate, so should we wait for like a grant cycle and go through that whole process before taking to the bond, or if the landowner is ready to move forward, can we just take it straight? I think
I
that's
mean,
kind of.
that's, yeah, and we'll know in July, you know, so that we can make that call then.
Like projects like that.
But projects in general, yeah. And I think, and just now that we know the state's gonna be more competitive, and the hope is that, you know, with this influx of increased applications, that this Commissioner of Ag will see that and want to put more money towards it, you know, next time.
The Commissioner of Ag wants to put
Oh,
one,
yeah.
this is the
Yeah.
legislature.
Okay, yeah, thank you, that's, yeah.
Yeah.
The hope is that they'll match money with, you know, the need, and that maybe it won't be a problem for us in the future, but, yeah, we're just trying to see, okay, if we only submit a few to the grant because it's highly competitive, we wanna make those like all-star projects, so that we maximize the chance of them getting funded, so just kind of brainstorming.
Those are good questions that I
Yeah.
do think, as far as the bond funding, I don't think we have to wait to your whole next cycle, because, you know, after that one, that was, the feedback was very positive on that, so like, if there's another really good
Yeah.
project like that, I say, go ahead, you know, start bringing it to this board
Yeah.
and starting that process.
Awesome, well, we have site visits scheduled over the next few weeks with some of these newer folks, and so, we'll have a better plan of action next week, so.
Excellent. Thank you. Any other questions for Ariel or Rodney? Okay. Announcements and discussion. Any announcements? Okay.
Was there something from that last meeting that we had to follow up on, or did you just handle that via email?
Oh,
There was
yeah,
something-
we handled it through email with
You did?
Gary,
Okay,
yeah.
so that's all handled.
Yes,
Okay.
we sent out an update through email and responded to him, and the follow-up was basically like, we're gonna schedule a time to go out and meet with him
Okay.
and his family and talk a bit more on that, EVAD or easements, and
Okay.
see what they're interested in, but
Okay.
oh, and I guess the follow-up from our side is that we are working with one of our county attorneys to do some, to work on some updated language for our farmland preservation ordinance, so that we can have maybe some more clearer language around EVAD and the renewal and what's required to, you know, to reapply, so that there is a document that actually says, you know, what those requirements are. Not just because of the EVAD program, you know, need of an update, but because we've been to a few state level trainings on the farmland preservation districts, and they're recommending we update some language in all of the different, you know, county farmland preservation ordinances. So we have a template that they're recommending we use, and we're working with one of our county attorneys to make those changes. So once we have a draft, we'll share it with the board, and then take it to the commissioners to be approved, so. It'll just be some clarification here and there.
So basically, what you ended up with the EVAD was the sticker, is the 10 years, 1 3-year renewal, was that it?
Correct.
And then you go back to
Another 10 years.
apply, and it's another 10-year, that was.
Yes, that's what the state recommends, and then we talked to the Register of Deeds and county legal, and both say that if a landowner wants to only do 10 years and not have to, you know, like if they contact us after the 10 years and don't want the 3-year automatic renewal, they can draft us a very simple deed that we record saying that is null and void, no more protections there. Right, that's generally what we found, and that they were like, it's super simple, it's nothing to be worried about, we can easily do that. So our plan of action is that we make sure that we're contacting our EVAD landowners the year before the 10-year comes up, so that they have the chance to let us know they want to leave it at 10 years. Does that make sense? Not after the 10 years has passed, so. But yeah, I think that's pretty much the follow-up from that, and Gary was okay with it.
Okay, okay. Thanks for that update.
Good. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.